Now, once again, if you have any questions, 644-9393 is the number, 644-9393. And standing by, I have Lisa A. Coppola on the line. Lisa A. Coppola, Esquire. She is an attorney at law, personal injury, business and employment law at the Coppola firm. And Lisa, thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Todd. Happy to be with you.
Now, you have a number of questions you can answer and a number of different areas that you cover. Employment. We want to talk to you about essential workers, about child care, and some of the areas, or one of the areas that you primarily cover is employment. So can you speak to that? If someone has lost their job, I mean, how can an attorney help with that?
Sure. Well, given the COVID crisis, we see many businesses not being deemed essential here in New York, right? Governor Cuomo has identified what businesses are essential and may continue to operate unless they can operate remotely. So if somebody has lost a job or has been, we typically hear the word furlough or laid off, they're entitled to unemployment benefits. And although there are many, many people applying for unemployment benefits now because of the crisis, it takes some diligence to log on to the system. It's a New York State portal, and ultimately unemployment benefits will be provided backdated to the first day the individual is out of work. So we're hearing at our office that it's a frustrating process because so many people are using the system at the same time. But rest assured, the state has funds and individuals will get their unemployment benefits just as soon as the state workers can catch up with the large volume of requests.
Now, talk to small business owners about this. I'm assuming and anticipating it's going to be a very, very different situation when people go back to work, especially for a small business. What are they liable for in terms of somebody coming back to work and they don't have the virus, but then they come back to work and they contract the virus? How can a small business protect themselves?
Yeah, so the first thing every small business should do is have what I like to call a kitchen cabinet around them. So, many of us who have small businesses make sure we have a strong relationship with a banker, with an insurance agent, with an attorney, maybe even a financial advisor. And this is a place where every small business ought to have general liability insurance available to them, must have workers' compensation insurance available to them as well. We're not clear yet, given how recent this particular crisis is, whether workers' compensation insurance will actually cover somebody who is able to demonstrate he contracted COVID-19 at the workplace. We just don't know the answer to that. We know that our Attorney General, Letitia James, has come out publicly to say she anticipates that to be the case, but we don't know for sure. So the best practices for any small business that is either operating now because it's essential or when the pause executive order is lifted, goes back into business, is to continue to practice social distancing. We expect this crisis to last quite some time, maybe come back in the cold weather. So businesses have responsibilities, right? Just like any other citizen, to make sure that both its employees and those from the public who visit the business are protected to the best of their abilities. And we see a lot of guidance around this at the Centers for Disease Control that's easily found just via a quick Google search. CDC has great guidance for businesses, and so does OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. These are both federal agencies that are up to the minute on great guidance for keeping workplaces safe.
And do you have a contact number or website for those?
Well, they're both .gov websites.
Okay.
OSHA is ha.gov. And what I would suggest, and CDC is the same thing, Centers for Disease Control, cdc.gov.
Okay.
The easiest way for any of your listeners to find these sites is to simply Google OSHA and COVID, or CDC and COVID or coronavirus. It'll pop right up.
All right. Liz has a question, and we're going to listen to her question right now.
Hi, my name is Liz. 3 weeks ago, they brought me out of work because I was diagnosed with walk-in pneumonia. So for those last 2 weeks, they kept me out of work. They was telling me to quarantine myself, stay in the house, because it could turn into COVID-19. So I did all that. So they had gave me a test. They ordered me a test. And since I had started feeling better, I refused the test. But 2 days later, I took real sick where I couldn't smell. I couldn't taste. I kept coughing. I had all the signs of the coronavirus. I went through everything that the coronavirus take you through. I think what only saved me was the antibiotics they started giving me when the doctor diagnosed me with walk-in pneumonia. But I know that I had all signs, and I also know that I had that. But when it was time to get retested, the test came back negative, and it was only because for 4 weeks I done went through all of this, and I'm at the end of it now, and I done gotten much better, so the test comes back negative. So the question I have for the doctor, if I done been out 4 weeks, and each 2 weeks were for the COVID-19, and I call my job to find out about my pay, and they tells me that it has to come from the health department. So I want to know, with the health department calling me and giving me the appointment, but by this time my doctor has already ordered the test for me, I want to know, am I still eligible at my job for the COVID-19 virus, and they still have me out from the test I took Monday on under quarantine. So I just want to know, am I eligible for my pay at work?
All right,
Thank you.
All right, Liz. Well, thanks for that question, and we'll do you one better than having a doctor answer your question. We have an attorney on the line. So, Lisa, you heard
thanks, Todd. Liz, I'm so happy to hear you're feeling better. There's a couple of things that you need to keep in mind. There are two types of leave that provides pay. One is under New York law, and that's highly dependent on how many employees are at your workplace. So I can't give you legal advice in this call, but I can tell you that there's a New York paid sick leave that you should ask your employer about. And secondly, the federal government, the folks down in D.C., passed a new law that became effective April 1st, and that provides an employee 80 hours. Generally, that's 2 weeks of pay for a full-time employee if their doctor recommends self-quarantine because of the kinds of symptoms you described. So under the federal law, you don't need a state-ordered quarantine or isolation order. You just need your doctor to have recommended self-quarantine. I can't tell you that you'll have 4 weeks of pay, but I can tell you that depending on the type of employer you work for, it's pretty likely that under this federal law, it's called federal paid sick leave, you should be entitled to ask about these 80 hours of pay. So be sure to ask your employer about that, and hopefully you'll find that you get paid for at least a part of the time you've been off work.
All right, Lisa, thank you very much. Now, we've run out of time, but if somebody wanted to contact you, is that possible?
Absolutely. So we're a fully remote law firm right now. We're following Governor Cuomo's orders, and anyone can reach us at 716-839-9700, or they can follow us on social media. We're at the Coppola Firm, and we're always happy to help.
All right, Lisa, thank you very much. Appreciate your time and very good information. Thank you very much.
Glad to be with you. Thanks, Todd.
644-9393, that's the phone number to call if you have any questions whatsoever about COVID-19. And specifically, our next guest is Rebecca Stevens. She's the director of Child Advocacy Center at Best Health. She's going to discuss a very, very, very important matter, which is child abuse. Kids are out of school. Normally, they're able to talk to their teacher who they trust, or teachers are very, very good at recognizing children who are being abused at home. But since kids aren't in school, there's no way to detect that. Kids can't talk to anyone. They're just in a very bad situation. So Rebecca Stevens is going to address that. If you have any questions regarding child abuse or that topic, please give us a call right now at 644-9393, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes.